In the heart of a quiet village, nestled between rolling green hills and bordered by a dense, ancient forest, lived a tailor named Obina. His life was simple but filled with meaning. Each day, he would wake early, before the first light of dawn, and begin his work in the small shop he owned. His hands moved deftly over fabrics, his sharp eyes scanning each stitch with meticulous precision. Whether it was everyday clothing or elegant robes for special occasions, Obina's skills had earned him the reputation of being the finest tailor in the region. His shop stood at the bustling village square, where merchants sold fresh produce, women gathered to collect water from the well, and children ran through the dusty roads playing games. The rhythmic sound of his sewing machine could be heard from early morning until late in the evening, becoming a familiar and comforting backdrop to village life. Obina was a quiet man, neither wealthy nor poor. He lived modestly, never seeking unnecessary attention, and spoke only when needed. With no family of his own, he spent his days focused on his craft. However, there was something peculiar about him, something that set him apart from the other villagers. Wherever Obina went, cats followed. At first, it was just a few stray cats that lingered near his shop, drawn to the warmth and shelter it provided. But over time, their numbers grew. No matter where Obina went, whether to the market to buy fabric, to the river to wash his clothes, or even into the forest to gather herbs, the cats would follow. They came in all shapes and sizes: sleek black cats, fluffy white ones, grey tabbies with glowing eyes, and ginger felines with patches of orange and brown. They never meowed for food, never tried to enter his shop, and never made a sound. They simply followed him, as if drawn to him by some invisible force. At first, the villagers found this amusing. "Look at Obina and his army of cats," they would say, laughing as he passed by. Children chased after the cats, giggling while women at the market smiled and shook their heads in amusement. But as the months passed, the laughter faded. The number of cats following Obina seemed to multiply. It was no longer just a handful. Now there were dozens. They gathered outside his shop in the mornings, trailed behind him wherever he went, and waited by his home at night. Whispers began to spread. "It's unnatural," an old woman muttered to her neighbor. "No man should have that many animals following him." "I've heard stories," another woman said, glancing around to make sure no one was listening. "Stories about men who are cursed. Perhaps the cats are a sign of something dark." The whispers turned into fear. Some villagers claimed Obina had been cursed by a witch. Others whispered that the cats were not animals at all, but demons disguised in feline form, drawn to him because of some terrible sin he had committed. Slowly, people began avoiding him. Customers no longer came to his shop, and conversations that once welcomed him now stopped whenever he passed. Even the children who had once chased after the cats now ran in the opposite direction. Obina noticed the change, but he tried to ignore it. He had always been a solitary man, but the weight of suspicion and isolation pressed heavily upon him. He could feel the villagers' stares on his back, hear their whispers when he walked past. And the cats, they remained. Everywhere he went, they followed, silent, watching, waiting. At night, as Obina lay in bed, he could hear them outside his window, the soft padding of their paws against the earth, the glint of their golden eyes in the moonlight. He tried shooing them away, even threw small stones in their direction to scare them off, but they never left. Something had to be done. One evening, after yet another silent day in his empty shop, Obina made a decision. He needed answers. And there was only one person in the village who might be able to help him: Baba Chaku, the village elder. Baba Chaku was a man of great wisdom, respected by all. People traveled from faraway lands to seek his counsel, and his knowledge of the spiritual world was legendary. If anyone could explain the mystery of the cats, it would be him. The next morning, before the sun had fully risen, Obina set off toward Baba Chaku's hut. It was located at the far edge of the village, near the dense forest that bordered their land. As always, the cats followed, padding silently behind him. The air was cool, the sky painted with the soft pinks and purples of dawn. As Obina walked through the village square, early risers glanced at him warily. A woman carrying a basket of vegetables hurried past, her eyes lingering on the cats. Children playing near the well stopped and stared, their whispers carried on the wind. Obina ignored them. He had no time for their fear. When he reached Baba Chaku's hut, he paused for a moment, his hand hovering over the door. He could feel the weight.